you're sad at home and bored right out your mind, log on the net and see what you can find.
Three dudes talking about anime. Guess it's important to hear what they say. Argue over weapons throughout night and day. Now that you listen to the Rand Cafe.
Yo, what is up, boys? How's it going? And welcome back to another episode of the Rant Cafe Anime Podcast. Today, it is just me and Jordan, the anime dude. What up, dude? How you doing?
What's up, everybody? Happy to be here. Hope you guys are doing well. Make sure to comment if you are there, so that way we know, because as I was talking with Briggs about earlier, otherwise you're just Schrodinger's viewer. Are you there? Are you not? Like, we'll never know if you don't comment. So
it's true. And you can also comment on Spotify. Most of our viewers for this podcast are on Spotify, and you can leave a comment, which is really cool. Let us know what you think. Today's plan is kind of to go through briefly the Bunny Girl Senpai Season 1 anime, and then get a little bit more into depth and focus a little bit more on the 3 movies that me and Jordan just watched for the first time very recently.
Right.
I did not watch the new season. My plan was actually to suggest, you know how we do like the little thing where we go in a circle and we suggest shows? I was going to suggest the new season of Bunny Girl, but Recon's not here. He's out touching grass. Look at this dude touching grass. Who would have thought?
dude, I can't even imagine. It's just, last time I touched grass, I don't know. It was forever ago.
Dude, the only time I go outside is to play sports, and that means I'm touching ice and sand. I play beach volleyball and hockey, so I go and touch ice and sand, and then I come home to my air-conditioned room and play games.
Dude, I play basketball, so I feel you. I play the indoor sport, all right?
Nice.
All that non-AC stuff. So.
Nice,
air
nice.
conditioner, I need a roof, etc.
Okay, so starting with Bunny Girl Senpai, the first season, it was quite a bit better than I remembered. I remember liking the beginning, and then just not having, like, I was just thinking the rest was just kind of okay, as they went into, like, so many different, like, plots and arcs, and covered different syndromes for different characters. I feel like my first time watching it, maybe weekly, or when I was a little bit younger, I liked it, but I didn't love it. Upon rewatch, I feel like I appreciated it way more. What's your general thoughts there, Jordanio?
I feel like it's always been one of those shows I enjoyed a lot, and I enjoyed enough to where I definitely needed to rewatch it prior to going into the movies. It's always been like a solid like 7.5 for me. Like, I enjoy it. It's not my favorite thing, but it just reminds me of so many other things that I've also seen done, and I like those a little bit better. But have you ever seen like Origairu or Bakemonogatari or anything of that nature? Or
I watched some Bakemonogatari. I can't say that.
Monogatari, yeah.
There we go. I think I did watch some of that, and then I watched. I did not watch Origairu. I don't think so.
Yeah. So Sakata is like one of those main characters that, you know, kind of blends in with those shows as far as he's very self-sacrificing, and he has a lot of people he puts kind of above himself. He doesn't really cherish himself in the same way he cares for others. And, you know, Bunny Girl Senpai is an interesting show because we see that these things that kids go through and these coming of age stories just kind of take physical manifestation. And for him, you know, he has those scars on his chest because he's always carrying like the emotional burdens of others, right? So it's like a physical manifestation of that. So he's an interesting character. He's a very wise guy. He's got some good one-liners. Likeable overall, but so definitely not. I'm not hating on the show. I enjoyed it enough to rewatch it. So
yeah, part of the reason why I like the movies is they answered a lot of questions that I had off the first season. Like, in regards to those scars, we dealt with so many other people's syndromes, and I just assumed that his scars and him being in the hospital that time was related to his sister, and there was just so much more to it, and it was never covered. The first season is our main character, our GOAT. I love Sakuta, but he's helping Mai, he's helping his sister, he's helping Koga, he's helping Futaba, the science girl. He's helping everyone else get through their shit, while he still has deeper issues himself. And that's something that the movies eventually dive into, which I really appreciated.
No, 100%. He's a very multi-dimensional character in that way, and it's one of those where it's like a stereotypical anime thing at surface level, so you don't question it too much. You're like, oh yeah, you know, he's living alone. That makes sense. He's with his little sister who's very attached to him. Yeah, that makes sense. And you just kind of take these things at the very beginning with a little bit of a grain of salt. You're like, it's anime, but everything does come together and make sense, and it is well written in that regard. So have you ever seen Pet Girl or Sakuraso or no?
No, I have not. I need to
That's
watch
another
more
one of my
anime.
favorite
I don't know.
Yeah.
Jordan's
So
got me
that-
beat. He's really the
yeah.
anime dude over here.
That was one of my favorite anime from a long while back that I made a Why You Should Watch video on, and it's by the same author as Bunny Girl Senpai. So it's just proves that the author has a track record. He knows what he's doing. So
Nice.
it's setting up these kind of classic cliches and tropes, but it is executing them really well and sticking the landing as they carry from one to the next.
So you would think as I get older and as I watch more anime, I would become more of an elitist. But I feel like as time has went by, I nitpick less. Like before, I couldn't watch English dubs. Now I could watch a dub, no problem. But also, I remember when I first watched the show. I remember the science stuff kind of pissed me off. Like I know it's a the physical manifestation of like their puberty syndrome, things that they're going through, and it's taking on like a weird supernatural form, right?
Yeah.
But you don't need to overthink it. Just leave it at that, right? But then the show tries to be like, yes, science. Let me give you a comparison. And with the Schrodinger's cat one, I'm like, that's kind of cool. And then they just kept on doing more and more. And I just remember that kind of pissed me off before. And this time, I feel like this time, like, yeah, makes sense to me.
Yeah, you just gotta have fun with it, right? Like
Yeah.
at the very beginning of this episode, I had to make a Schrodinger's reference just because of Bunny Girl Senpai, right? It kind of gets you in the mood, but it is silly, right? It's they're throwing a bunch of sciencey words out there, and everything makes sense if you just throw quantum in front of it.
Yep.
And
Quantum
it's like
entanglement, quantum
very high level.
observation.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's like very high level views of like some sciencey stuff, and it's like it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. No, it's more about like the characters and kind of what they're actually going through, right? Like symbolically what it means. So
It just gave the science girl Futaba a purpose to be in the friend group, like something for her to
Yeah.
do. It's like, yeah, I could give you some type of science explanation as what this could be, or a comparison to. When in reality, it's like there's two Futabas. There's like Mai turns invisible. Like it's like some crazy supernatural shit. But I do like how it's just so related to like their inner feelings and what's happening to them in their life. Because the series starts off with the best clickbait of all time, Mai in a bunny girl outfit, which she does not wear for the remainder of the series. No one wears
That's
it really.
Not true. That's
And
not true.
No.
Okay. No.
Oh,
Every
when
time
they're
he
studying.
gets for a tutor, yeah, he's like, "All right, I'll study better if you put on the bunny girl."
I
outfit."
swear she did it like once in 12
She
episodes.
did it, like once. Yeah.
And then in 3 movies also never. Or
Yeah.
maybe once. Just ultimate clickbait. They're like, do it in the first episode and we can put it on the title and thumbnail.
It is the ultimate clickbait. You're not wrong. Do we want to kind of go through each arc individually a little bit and just
can.
give broad thoughts? Just because I feel like it's one of those series where both the first time through and recently, I feel like I have such different feelings on each arc. Like some I like so much more than others, but like it's based kind of on the character they tackle, right?
Yes. I agree. I do like some more than others, but I like them all quite a bit. The first one is still one of my favorites because it's really the beginning of the relationship between Mai and Sakuta, who I am huge fans of. I just love their relationship. I love the trust that they have, and this like Sakuta is just such like his like he's just so blunt and like says whatever he's thinking, and I just respect it so much. But he's also just like actually a good person and like a selfless individual. But yes, it starts off with Mai being invisible. And no one can see her other than people initially from her school, right? That know her as a student. But for all her life, she's been on ads and she's an actress, right? Like she's been in photo shoots, movies, commercials, so on and so forth. So everyone should recognize Mai. But her personal persona as herself, for whatever reason, when like not being in those ads, turned invisible to people. She didn't exist. And I think it was a disconnect where like she started to really like doing these actor roles or these actresses roles and like being a person of interest. But when she was younger, she was forced to do things that her mother made her do, like bathing suit shoots and stuff that she didn't like. And she felt like she was put into this world against like her own consent, and she quits. So now she's in this point where it's like she doesn't want to do what her mom says, even though now she kind of enjoys it. It's like, I was going to do the dishes anyway, Mom, but now that you told me to do the dishes, I don't want to do the dishes.
Yeah,
go ahead. I don't know if I'm explaining this well.
Yeah, no, it's that, and then it's also just like the breach of trust that was kind of had there. So like, especially with her being a child actor, right? Child actors usually have a lot of problems as is. There's a lot of pressure that goes with that. You're constantly busy. You're constantly working, and with that like comes like a bit of a feeling of like social isolation from your peers and whatnot, right? You don't really have those friend groups, and in a situation like that, her mom, being there with her all the time would be that pillar of support that she kind of has to lean on. And when she says, "I don't want to do like a swimsuit, any swimsuit stuff," as like a middle schooler, and then her mom made her do it anyway, the breach of trust there was so severe that it just kind of pushed her further down that path of like isolation, right? Like isolation, and then I think like as an actor and as somebody that has that as like their entire life, there's also like a fear of like being forgotten, right? Like what are you leaving behind? So it's like all that stuff. That was one of my favorite arcs was that first introduction of those first 3 episodes. The series started out so strong. So
Yeah, I think it was a strong start. I like the idea, especially because like Mai is being observed so much, but like personally, she doesn't, I guess, feel observed, and then now she's
yeah.
turning invisible to everyone. But there was that whole thing where like she was still remembered as a student, but slowly as people fell asleep and woke up and fell asleep and woke up, they forgot Mai as well, except for Sakuta, and then
It's a terrifying thing.
that brings up this thing where like he stayed up for multiple days at a time so that he wouldn't fall asleep, so that he wouldn't forget her because he didn't want to forget this amazing girl. And it ends with such a cute, wholesome, awkward, and cringe moment where he confesses his love. It's a highlight of the series, in front of the whole school, doing something so embarrassing, so over the top to make it people snap her back into reality. It's like, oh yeah, that's like, how can someone be confessing their love like this if this person doesn't exist, you know? And they all remember her.
I feel like those first 3 episodes are such a good introduction to Sakuta as a character as well. For that reason you just outlined, he is such a character that doesn't really care what most people think. He doesn't. There's a certain flow in certain social settings and situations and stuff, and if he doesn't like flow along with that, or if he's kind of going against it, he doesn't let that phase him too much. He's kind of blocked it out, and it takes somebody kind of like that to really reach out and pull Mai out of her funk, right? Which is why she ends up kind of falling for him. And their banner is fun and stuff too, but I think that they just kind of each found each other in a moment where they needed somebody like the other person, right? So they have a very, very good relationship.
And like Sakuta is so blunt, and he was able just to say like, go back and do what you love. Go back into the industry. Like you enjoy it. Fuck your mom, basically.
Yeah. And you got to do what makes you happy, right? Like so he kind of set her back on that path that she needed to be set on at that point in her life. Yeah, that she wanted to be on. Yeah. So that, and weird little tangent here. Can I give you one of my biggest pet peeves in anime? So this is a thing that if a guy ever did this to a girl, we'd call him scum, and rightfully so. But for some reason in anime, there's this thing where girls always end up drugging guys. All right, like, and we just kind of let it happen. Mai just drugged him in that first episode. She just slipped stuff into his drink to make him fall asleep. Yeah, she did it because she cared, but
yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
Why would she do that?
Again,
I only bring that up because you made me rewatch the movie, and as I was watching the movie so close together, he also got drugged in that movie, and I'm like, why do people keep drugging this man?
People keep on drugging our boy.
They keep making him go to sleep. Yeah, it's so sad. So weird little side tangent, but I feel for my boy Sakuta.
Okay, so we move on to the next arc, which I do think is not as good, but it still has an amazing ending to the arc. I believe this is where we get into Koga, the classmate, who our main character pretends to date for a little bit.
Yeah, the Kohai. Oh man.
Any thoughts on this?
For letting him go through with that. Yeah, so Koga's, I feel like, the exact opposite of Sakuta in a lot of ways, where he doesn't really care about the flow and what other people think. She really cares about what other people think, and she has like that fear of not fitting in, and because that she kind of avoids. She avoids tough topics and tough decisions and things that would have consequences, right?
It was so crazy. Like she'd have to stop mid-sentence to reply to people as quickly as possible because she didn't want to make it look like she wasn't replying. She would literally do homework to watch all the memes and videos that her friends are talking about so she could stay in the loop. Like she was doing so much to fit in and care about what other people are thinking, which is so I'm glad you pointed that out. So opposite to our main character.
Yeah. It's one of those things where like there probably are a lot of kids like that, right? They feel that need to fit in, and we kind of see that manifest via the time loop, right? Like if she doesn't, she kind of fears the repercussions of things going wrong. You know, she doesn't want to face that. She's never going to, right? It has like a little simulation type thing of none of that really happened. It was all just like a what if, right? So
Yeah.
um yeah, it's an interesting arc. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit, although I wouldn't say she's like one of my favorite characters by any means. She's just kind of there a lot of the time,
I feel like I
but
wasn't super I wasn't super invested in this one. It was a repeating day. Like I real after going through something with our main character and our main character and this girl who like they're doing a pretend relationship for like the appeasement of like others in a way, and for
yeah.
her I had a little bit of a disconnect. But the ending where she was making it seem like she didn't remember that they were looping and tomorrow Groundhog Day was not coming. Also like the repeating
Yeah.
days is a cool supernatural thing as well, but like she made it seem like it wasn't happening, but if she really did know.
Yeah.
She was just hoping that after like a dozen dates, 20 dates, 50 dates, 100 dates of repeating the same day, that he would eventually fall for her the way that she had fallen for him, because she really did have feelings for him, and she was hoping after 8,000 repeating days that he would eventually fall for her. And
Yeah, it was an unrequited love, and she just didn't really want to face that, right? Like she
yeah,
just like maybe if I try enough times or buy enough lottery tickets, maybe something will change, but that it just was not meant to be. So I think my favorite,
she was Lazarus's demon or whatever, Laplace's demon or whatever, where she
yeah,
kept on rolling the dice, repeating days over and over again, trying to get the optimal outcome. But something was
I think
really
my
cute and beautiful about it, but also fucked up. I don't know. I liked it.
I think my favorite part about this arc is kind of how it started, and by the end you kind of loop right back to where it started because it was like none of it ever happened, but it's just him actually asking out Mai and like her saying yes, and then it's like, oh shoot, that didn't happen, so he has to kind
Yeah.
of walk through those steps over and over again. So yeah, even in this arc, Mai was the one that shined, right? You gotta love it.
Yeah, my favorite was definitely the ending, but that was every time like, oh no, they finally dated. How's he gonna fuck this up now that he has another chance?
Oh man, and
Okay,
luckily he didn't.
let's keep it moving. We do need to cover
Yep,
the
yep,
movies. So going into the
yep.
next arc, I believe we're going into Futaba's arc.
Yeah, yeah. So this is one I didn't really like the most whenever I first watched it, and even now, like it's probably still my least favorite. But I think it does a good job of like tackling her. Like she seems like a very genuine person, helping out her friends throughout those first two arcs. But even with that and stuff, like she has a bit of an identity crisis as far as she's growing up. She's going through puberty. Boys are kind of looking at her a little bit differently, and like trying to balance those two, like the authentic self part of herself and then the part that kind of wants attention, and trying to kind of balance those apart, it causes that rift that like basically splits her into two, right? So yeah, I wasn't really a big fan of this arc. She has a crush on a guy that has a girlfriend, and I felt like some of how they tackled that was a bit rough. Like I was like, no, she shouldn't be confessing in a situation like that. But
I'm just such a character-driven person where like
uh-huh.
arguably this arc should be worse than the one with Koga, but because I
Yeah.
like Futaba more than Koga, I like this arc better. Like if I like the characters, I pay attention more and I'm more invested, and just the way it is.
Oh yeah, no, that makes sense. These
and I
arcs
just-
are about the characters, right?
Right,
It zooms
exactly.
in.
So like because I liked her as a character, I'm more invested in her version of puberty syndrome, where she had one version that was being a little bit more reserved and one version that was like doing anything for attention. And it was because like what would you say the reason, like what was her existential thing? Like obviously she liked she had a crush on a guy who has a girlfriend, but I think it was also more than that to it. I just wish I could remember. I haven't watched it as recently as you.
Yeah, I mean, it was one where she like kind of wanted his attention a little bit. Like she was seeking a little bit of validation there, but also, she also wants authenticity and to be her true self. And yeah, that's kind of I don't know. There's parts of growing up right there and stuff where she wasn't really quite even recognizing herself with like some of the things she had the temptation to do, right? So, she just kind of had to eventually accept all those aspects of herself there by the end, and even if they were kind of in conflict,
Yeah.
was my takeaway.
And also,
Um,
yeah, at the same time, it's like Sakuta just got Mai as a girlfriend, and
Yeah,
our other guy has a girlfriend, so now she probably feels like, oh shit, I don't have a partner, or I'm gonna lose my friends along the way as well. I'm like the girl third wheeling that's like
Yeah, no, that's a
not
great call
welcome
out.
anymore, right?
Yeah, another aspect of like a little bit of social or uh, isolation a little bit in that regard, as far as she didn't really have very many other friends, right? And
And her
whenever,
parents weren't around
yeah,
either. It's like she just felt alone, so
yeah,
she was
yeah,
doing anything
no,
for
great call out.
attention.
Yep, 100%.
This arc was
See,
better than I remembered after
you
talking
probably
about
paid attention to that one a little bit more than I did, right?
it. Yeah, just not as I
But
didn't watch it as recently.
it's still good. I enjoyed it more this most recent time than I did the first time around,
Same.
right? First time I didn't quite understand it
I don't know what
entirely.
type of doujin I read when I was like 18, dude, or something when this first came out, because I remembered Futaba wearing a bunny girl outfit, and as I was
Yeah.
rewatching it, I'm like, she never put it on? What the hell? So I must have read something 10 years ago when it came
Maybe.
out. When did this come out? 5 years ago?
It came out back in like 2017, 2018, something like that. Let me glance. Yeah, 2018 for the first season.
6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah. So I was in college whenever this came out, and I remember, like I said, I remember enjoying it, but I feel like there's something about growing up and actually being an adult where you go back and rewatch something like this and you kind of appreciate it on a different level, right?
Yeah.
Like you kind of see what these kids are going through and you're like able to look down and like observe it better or more objectively, right? So,
I mean, I
um,
feel like that's why I was able to maybe appreciate. Because I also am at a point where like a lot of my friends are getting married and having
mhm.
kids and just not being even like me, and Lauren, like love to have fun and do things, but I'm starting to get to an age where like 11 o'clock rolls around and all my buddies are like, yeah, time to go. I'm like, it's a Saturday. You can stay till 12. And so I just also starting to feel like as people are getting girlfriends and lives are getting are
Right.
changing, like you start to like feel a little bit more isolated from people.
Hmm.
Where's Recon? He's out touching grass, Marcus. This dude.
Yeah, people become unrelatable. Like, can you imagine touching grass? Or at least I can't, right? Like,
Me and Jordan
I
by
don't I barely
ourselves,
recognize him anymore.
feeling isolated while other people are touching grass. We are Futaba.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on to
Yeah.
Nodoka,
Nodoka,
which
yeah.
is my sister, and
Hmm.
they have a swap of bodies, and they had to live in each other's lives. I appreciated that it didn't come easy to her. She had to work her ass off to do what Nodoka was able to do, and Nodoka, who was struggling, in the end was able to pull off what Mai was doing as well, just showing that like they both had potential in their own different ways. But really,
Hmm.
it kind of resolved to a similar thing of emotions, where I feel like Nodoka felt like her sister hated her, and she kind of hated her sister and was like resentful because her mom always viewed her as being like the older sister that's so good, and Nodoka wasn't living to her level. And I feel like through the bond of Mai and Nodoka and like their friendship and sisterhood coming closer together, they were able to resolve their issues. So it was a combination of a couple things,
Yeah.
like her proving to herself that she could do something that Mai did, but also realizing that like they actually love each other and don't hate each other. I think was a good step.
Yeah, they'd never really quite opened up to each other on that level, or she didn't
Hmm.
quite know what Mai's thoughts were on her. So, as we set up the arc after this and whatnot, we see like a lot of different siblings kind of uh exploring their relationships, and the one between her and Mai is one where she's always been a little bit she loves Mai, she adores her, she looks up to her, admires her, but she's also a little bit envious, right? Just because of the resentment of like their parents putting those comparisons on them, and I think that's kind of the driving force of it, right? Is whenever you're a younger sibling or something, and your parents always expect you to act like your other sibling, or
Hmm.
uh, that those expectations can kind of drive a little bit of a wedge of a resentment, even if it wasn't there prior. Um, so yeah, seeing that kind of take shape, and then seeing that at the beginning she was kind of lying, saying, "Yeah, like I hate you too," and stuff like that. But by the end, she sees Mai really does cherish her like as a sister, and it's not really their relationship doesn't have to be defined by like how their parents compare them, right? Or
Yeah.
anything like that. She's like, "I'll just stay with you for a bit, give it some time to, uh, give it some time to boil over with my mom, and we'll each tackle kind of what we have our own goals and aspirations for." So,
I think what could have made this arc a little bit better is while Nodoka was in Mai's body, when she finally achieved like saying the lines properly, getting some type of positive reinforcement from the mother, even just through like a text message, like "good job" or something, I think would have been like, because she got her own self fulfillment by doing it, but I think it would have also added to it if she was able to get some praise while being Mai. I think that would have taken it a step further.
Yeah, I think that's part of what like really hurt and stuff was that she never really heard very much praise from her mom. But after they switched, and Mai was able to do what she does but better. Her mom was praising her then, and I think seeing that from the outside, that really hurt Nodoka in that
It hurt her
regard. As far
more.
as like she felt like she wasn't good enough, right?
Exactly.
And
But that's why I think a good ending to it would have been like obviously like the healing of the sisters and their friendship, but also I think like even just like a text message from the mom saying like "good job" on something while Nodoka is being Mai.
Yeah,
Like even though it took her 10 attempts. What do you think
they
about that?
they have different moms and stuff, right? So it's like it'd be weird for like Nodoka's
True.
mom to reach out to Mai and things like that. But that's the thing. They're half sisters, right? Like they didn't grow up together. It was one where she suddenly had a new sister, and it was one she already admired, and she was kind of living in her shadow, as like being compared to her all the time. Mai's getting roles that they're both
But I
going
feel
for.
like that
Mom's
mom,
a little bit competitive.
that stepmom or whatever used to praise Mai to Nodoka all the time. Like she would talk,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
why can't you be more like Mai? Mai's so amazing.
Exactly.
She's doing this. She's up to date on all her things. So I don't think it would have been like that out of the ordinary for like her to send her a text message.
Yeah,
Or something. I don't know.
like the moms had a little bit of a competition type thing
True,
going, and they
true.
kind of use their daughters
So
to
maybe it wouldn't work.
kind of push that. And I will say the little bit of an olive branch I think you're describing towards the very end is since Nodoka did, she did run away to go start living with Mai, like whenever this happened, because they one, there was the turmoil with the mom, but two, like you can't really necessarily go about your life with the whole body swap thing going. I think the mom was genuinely just worried about her, as a parent would be, right? If your daughter suddenly, is not home, she's staying with her half sister, like you don't know where she's at, what she's doing. I think there was concern from the mom, and seeing that her mom actually was concerned about her was something that helped there at the end of the arc as well, right? Like she just assumed like she wouldn't really care or be worried or anything because she hadn't seen that from her yet. So.
Got it. Okay, moving on to the final little arc. This is with Kaede, the little sister of our main character, and it doesn't like fully cover it because we get a whole movie on Kaede, but it's just her trying to like, because she got bullied as a kid and then she lost her memories through some puberty syndrome to, I guess, forget what happened, and she became a hikikomori who doesn't leave her house, and she was scared of the outside, scared of social interaction. Basically, her big brother kind of ended up becoming like her dad in a way, because with this new version of Kaede and her memories, she really only talked and associated with Sakuta for like 2 years until Mai and Nodoka and other people started to enter the picture slowly. She started to talk with others, but she didn't leave her house. So you have cute scenes like her hugging her brother's back and slowly walking outside, and just little things like that. But I did have a feeling at the end of this season that two things kind of didn't get concluded. One was Kaede. We got a little bit of thing, and I want you to talk about that because you probably have a better memory than me. We have Kaede's arc that didn't feel concluded to me. And we had Shoko-chan, which was this like person that our main character said saved him, right? It was this girl who saved him, and then he sees her again in this season as a child, and then he rescues a cat and said you could come visit whenever to visit the cat because your parents won't let you take the cat in, whatever. And he keeps on saying like there's a child version and an adult version, but he's the only one who's seen the adult version or like the high school version or whatever. And it seems like both times that he was in need back then and even towards the end of the season, this older Shoko-chan appeared. Both times that he was in need of some type of comfort, he needed a person to console him, she appeared. So at this point, I'm like, does she even fucking exist? Is it a figment of his imagination? Is it some type of syndrome? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's confusing too because he meets her as like a middle schooler.
Yeah.
And like the middle school her and the high school her are obviously like they're different, but they're the same name, same like they're the same person, but they're also different, and like trying to figure that out is is a weird thing,
they
right?
didn't have each other's memories. Like the little one had no
Yep.
recollection of that, right?
Or at least they didn't let on if they did, right?
Exactly.
So, mhm. And but yeah, it's setting all that's the thing about this series is every arc we've discussed, it might focus on one character, but it's always setting up kind of what comes after. Yeah, and so this arc did a good job of setting that up. And then honestly, I love it tackling what happened with Kaede. I think it's one of my favorite arcs. But I have a little bit of a not a correction, but like some food for thought on how to approach it.
Okay.
Because while this arc does focus on Kaede, I think the series does a good job of treating like the Kaede from this arc and the Kaede from the movie as like two different people, right?
Yeah.
Because they have different quirks and mannerisms. They have different memories. Like the Kaede that he's known for like these past 2 years of living together. That's like she came to be from like having no memories. She was just kind of woke up in the hospital and was like, I don't know what's wrong. It kind of drove our mom crazy. Like she's been going through a lot, and she still has that like fear of the outside world and everything going on there. She has that like in some way, but she doesn't have like any direct memories for that, right? So it's like she's like her own little person, and she's technically 15 at the start of the series when we meet her. But like if you just got your memories from like just started having memories like 2 years ago, like there's a reason she acts so much younger than that, right? Like she acts like a little kid a lot of the time. So yeah, seeing her like she's like basically the physical manifestation of like psychological trauma, just from all this cyberbullying and things like that, right? Like she just completely shuts herself off and just isn't really able to face it, right? So that manifests through her just being her own.
I
have a different person.
I have a bad memory, and I can't remember what was covered in this little arc at the end, these last 2 episodes or last 3 episodes versus what is covered in the movie. Like I know what's covered in the movie for the most part, but I don't know if like I don't want to spoil things that happen in this ending arc.
No, yeah, so the movie would mainly the first movie would mainly focus on Shoko, but yeah,
the second movie,
the first season. No, the first movie, the Dreaming of a Dreaming Girl.
I know. Did you watch the second movie?
I watched all the movies. Yeah, there's 3 of them.
There's 3 of them. One of them focuses on Kaede. And
yeah. So the second one focuses on Kaede, but that would be like the sister that basically lost a 2-year gap in memory, right? That like he kind of grew up with. So I would view that as like a different Kaede.
I know, but
yeah,
does her memories come back like right away?
So it comes back at the end of the first season.
Okay. So we can talk about that.
He has that like traumatic response of like running through the rain and stuff because on one hand, he's happy that his sister's back, but on the other hand, he's been like the emotional support for this new sister essentially for like 2 years now, right? And he's gotten to know her and spent a lot of time with her over the years. Like they've been really close because they were all each other had. So he basically lost a sibling. Basically at the end of the first season, it's
like she died.
As he tried to, it was the death of that character, and it was him trying to process that loss, right, and try to deal with that grief. It is a weird grief too, because it's not just the loss. So, like it's mixed with like the happiness of also having his other sister back, and it's a weird emotion to try to process, right? So,
oh my god, I was being so vague. I thought that happened at the beginning of the movie for some reason.
No.
So So what ends up happening is he works with his sister to help her get over. Like he spent 2 years with his sister, whatever, doing things slowly, building her up, whatever, having all these different moments and doing all these things with her. Toward the end of the season, they're going to the zoo. They're trying to get to school for the first time so she could experience that because she hasn't been to school in so long. And they were working on things. And finally, when they kind of made a step forward, where Kaede was ready to go back to her old life in a way, boom, old Kaede returns. All those 2 years of memories and relationship building, gone. That Kaede essentially dead, right?
Yeah.
And our main character has this mental breakdown, running in the rain, crying, depressed, and Shoko-chan, the the high school version appears to comfort him. And she doesn't really age from the last time we saw her. At this point in the series, in this season, we still have a high school version of Shoko. And that's the same version from many years ago when he needed her last, which was an interesting little catch. Because I do believe we get a college version of Shoko-chan later on in the movie. But right now,
Yeah.
it's like the same version. And it was just a wild ending. I thought it happened in the movie, so I didn't want to spoil it, but this was one of my favorite arcs, I'd say.
So yeah, and it's a weird thing too because I didn't catch this the first time, but I think it's one of those things where she kind of aged at like the same rate as him from like he had first seen her like in high school, and then like 2 years or whatever passes by, and I think she's like technically like 2 years older looking whenever we see her again. But yeah, the whole Shoko thing is a little bit confusing. But yeah, but that's what
Yeah.
the whole first movie.
Well, they described her, I believe, as the middle school version, the high school version, and like the college version. And
Yeah.
I think the first time I remembered them saying the college version was in the movie, but then again, my memory is all messed up. So to
Right,
me,
'cause
like at the end of the season, it's like it didn't seem like she aged.
Yeah,
in
no,
season
she
one.
basically looks the same. Yeah, I
Yeah, I
like to
guess-
think of it as like past, present, and future her, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
It's, again, the sciencey stuff isn't too important. It's
Mhm.
just we kind of conclude that first season with her seeing him, helping him through that tough time with Kaede because he's having to process all that grief, and then him and Mai kind of having a bit of a moment where she wants to be that crutch that he leans on because she cares for him and they're in a relationship, and she wants to be there for him, and then that whole conflict is kind of where we end that first season,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly. So,
And then we start off with the first
Shoko.
movie, Shoku Makinohara arc. It's something Rascal Dreaming Girl. This is the Dreaming Girl one.
yeah, Rascal does not dream of a dreaming girl or something to that effect.
So this covers volumes 6 and 7 of the light novels. I think this is probably the best movie of the three. I think the
The
other
only
one.
one we got over here, like, because I remember it was in theaters and everybody loved it, right? It was a little bit longer than the other ones as well.
It seemed like this one made sense to make into a movie. While,
Mhm.
don't get me wrong, the other two were also good. I liked them both. But they just felt like 3 episodes of an anime. Like this,
Yeah,
Rascal
it's-
Does Not Dream of Dreaming Girl, Sister Venturing Out, and Knapsack Kid. They could have just made a 12-episode series.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the author does an interesting job of like titling the light novels, where it's never titled like Volume 1, Volume 2. It's like literally the name of each arc or whatever. Like Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. Rascal Does Not Dream of X.
Yeah.
Like those are each like their own volume, right? Like their own book, and we kind of see those adapted into arcs in the first season, and then adapted into movies in those like middle 3, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah,
Although
it's like it can be done either way.
The Dreaming Girl one took up 2 novels.
That would make sense to me. I haven't read them myself. I'm just yeah, going based on the titles, but yeah, that would make sense. It was a big arc, right? It was definitely the one that feels most like a movie for sure.
Yeah. Especially like with the ending and everything, it really did feel like a movie. There's so much stuff that happens, and I'm trying to remember here. I don't know if you want to take the reins,
Yeah.
Jordan.
Yeah, so like in this movie and stuff, we find out that Shoko's been hospitalized. She has a heart issue. She's in middle school. This is the middle school version of her, right? And we see her puberty syndrome kind of take place based on like a thing on the future she filled out back in elementary school. It's like, what do you want to do in the future, right? Where do you see yourself? And for her, having this illness and disease that she's been going through, where she might end up needing like a heart transplant and stuff, it was hard for her to like even picture her future, right? So this thing keeps getting filled out a little bit, and she's like hospitalized as like a middle school version, but also her high school version keeps having all these or high school / college, with the future version keeps having all these interactions with Sakuto, right? As the things that they do end up getting filled out on that elementary like wish list, if you will, like the plans for the future. So yeah, it's a bit of an interesting arc in that regard, where I don't know if you want to chime in a little bit more before we go on like the big twist or whatever, but there's a reason his scar that he has on his chest only really reacts whenever.
See, that's the detail that I
whenever
liked.
her, yeah.
I really
So-
like that detail because in the beginning of the series, we knew that Kaede was going through something with her syndrome,
Yeah.
but also he had the scars when it happened, and then Shoko-chan appeared, and then the same thing happened at the end of the series, at the end of the first season as well. And you think it has something to do with him, and it does, but it's also directly connected to Shoko-chan, which is why she appears. She appeared
Yeah.
when he was in need, but also Do I just want to say the twist?
Yeah, like his heart from dying and stuff is got transferred to her, and that's why there's a future version of her that exists, right? So it's like they have the same heart existing in that time period, with her being the one that kind of came back, right? So
Yeah.
um it's a very interesting concept, because a lot of times when a series has like time travel or something, they try to tie it in like a neat little bow, or try to, and a lot of times it's hard to do, right? Time travel stuff is hard to do, but in this case, it's basically saying that everything we've seen in the series up to this point is a like a simulation kind of by the elementary school her of like possibilities, right? So it's like
Yeah.
not really happening, but it's like that's why they're able to kind of go back and forth and change things a little bit willy-nilly, but yeah, basically she doesn't want him to die for her, right? Like she cares for him too. She's trying to be selfless, and so she tries to lead him away from that to go about his life, and then he wants to sacrifice himself for her. So everybody's being very self-sacrificial, and
Literally
and,
everybody in this one,
yeah, and
because
the people around them are going to get hurt as a result, right?
literally everyone. Sakuta is
Mm-hmm.
being such a good friend to Shoko because Shoko was there for him as her future self, but he was there for her in the hospital. He ends up giving his heart when he ends up getting hit by a car or something one day. His heart was used to save her, but she wanted to continue living, but she also didn't want her friend to die, which complicated things. And then Sakuta is like, fuck it anyway. I'm going to jump in front, like, I'm going to still go to where I shouldn't be going, so I still get hit by that car to make sure reality does happen the way that it did happen.
Yeah, like he doesn't want to change things, right? But I do love that there's that conflict in him, because he loves Mai, and Mai is sitting there begging him like, don't do this, don't talk to everybody like you're saying goodbye, like even
Yeah.
if you think you're supposed to die and stuff, like don't do this to me, like I'll bear this burden with you. And there is a part of him that like has those doubts of like, I don't want to die, like I'm not gonna do it, I'm gonna have to tell her no. And then eventually he does give in. He is that self-sacrificing
Yeah, he has
main
that
character
characteristic. I do want to say though, so someone in chat, Marcus, said, I hate that he cared more for Shoko than Mai. And that's just not true. He doesn't care more for Shoko than Mai. It's one of those things where he felt like they're changing reality. And like, if he's choosing to not do what already was supposed to happen, in a way, he's making a kid that he cares for die.
Yeah,
Like, it's like
Yeah,
he was
that's a long way.
supposed to die and save this girl in the process, and now she's being like, no, save yourself instead. That's a hard thing. You're essentially killing a child in a way, or choosing to live over a child, which he's not saying he cares more for her than Mai. He's just choosing to do what was kind of already supposed to happen and not cause a child that he cares for to die. But what's fucked up is he has this beautiful relationship with Mai, and Mai wants him to care for himself and love himself and not die because you love each other. Now you lost me. Okay. He's like, now you I'm just saying, it's like,
it is confusing. It's a little bit of a confusing movie, right?
technically, what was supposed to happen was he was supposed to get hit by a car, but then future version of Shoko says, "Don't do it. I don't want you to die." And he's just like, it's a tough situation, like it's a moral dilemma where he's like, he loves Mai, he cares, he wants to keep on living, he struggles with it, but he also doesn't want to like be responsible for this kid dying in a way.
Yeah, and that's the tough thing that a lot of characters in this archetype usually end up facing, is whenever they're very self-sacrificing and have this bit of a hero complex of like putting everybody else above themselves. They don't cherish themselves enough to realize, hey, the people around you also care about you, right?
Yeah.
And they would care if you died. And it's Mai tries to kind of put that into him, like, hey, I probably love you way more than you love me.
Yes.
And she shows that via like, she's literally willing to give her life for him. And
Speaking of
she's not so good when it's on the other foot, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not fun to be that guy that had somebody sacrifice themselves for you, and then you have to go on living with that,
Yeah.
right? So
Speaking of self-sacrifice, Mai literally pushes him out of the way, sacrifices herself, and like you said, now he gets to live in a world without Mai, right? Which what he was essentially going to do to her when he sacrifices himself, right? And everyone has so much self-sacrifice in this movie. I think this movie was the best out of the three, but I do wish... So I don't think we got like a really final, solid explanation for the ending. What ends up happening is Sakuta upon Mai sacrificing herself, gets one more attempt, I guess, and both Mai and him survive. They both live, but then in the end, we see a young Shoko-chan by the sea, which was a little.
Yeah.
We get an explanation for it later, but I don't think we get it in this movie, which I wish we got a little bit of it in this movie.
I think it explains it in the movie. So it's kind of, like I said, it's kind of a weird, confusing thing where everything was based off of like the elementary schoolers'
perspective,
puberty
and
syndrome.
Her list
So
of what
it's
she
like,
wanted to do, and like, yeah,
they basically undid everything with like the belief that even without Shoko-chan being like a active influence on their life, that like they still would have met and still would have had all these other experiences. And basically that's kind of what happens, right? Is none of that stuff that we saw throughout the series happened, but then it still did, just without the Shoko-chan stuff. Like she wasn't a part of it. Basically everything we've seen was like a simulation of the future. And
but
then,
did they keep their
went back and
memories?
redid it, right?
Because I know
So,
Mai was able to somehow be influenced enough and care enough to choose to do a movie that raised a bunch of money for like her exact situation.
Yeah, it's a subconscious thing where they don't have those specific memories, and I think that's kind of what's tackled a little bit later and stuff. Is Shoko, Shoko's the only one that really remembers that. She remembers it. They don't, but he has this like inkling and like probably like tidbits of like I know her and whatnot, things like that, right? They still feel close. They were still influenced and impacted by it. Everybody had those dreams of like what that experience was like, but yeah, it didn't actually happen, or
Did
something
we
to that
get to
effect.
see her like she felt like Mai felt like she needed to star in this movie, right? And then they made donations and stuff. Did that happen in this movie, or was it like teased in the next one?
Very end.
It was
very end, and then I think it also kind of trailed into a lot of them, like the ending credit scene or like the very last scene that you see will trail and be like the very start of the next movie. Like it all does flow together pretty well. So.
I remember seeing it in another movie, and in my head, I was like, especially after watching the sister venturing out and Knapsack Kid, I kind of think it would have been better as a season of anime than as 3 movies.
Yeah, it all flows together so well with some stuff setting up other things that is one of those reasons. Like I can see it being all movies, but at the same time, it does flow pretty well together as a season, right? Like I think that all could have very well been a season. And probably best to just treat it as one, right? Like just let it carry into the next, because at the very beginning of the sister movie, we see that conversation with Shoko kind of in the restaurant, right, where they're kind of exploring that. So.
Yeah. Also, I also want to point out to the boys in chat they made like Marcus made the comment that he cared more for Shoko than Mai, and I just don't think that's anyway a reality. We got to remember our main protagonist. It also has his own struggles. I feel like he does this thing of self-sacrifice for himself as well, and we haven't had his arc. I think there's a lot of people like that too. Yeah, we have little bits of his development and like his story, but for the most part, the first season covered all these different girls and him helping them, and the first movie stays on that note with Shoko-chan, and we get his stuff within it, like his depression, his like when he loses Mai. Oh, we get a bunch of stuff that he goes through, even when Kaede goes back and gets her memories back. We get him going through things, but we didn't get him actually dealing with his own syndrome, his own development yet. So I think it's still obviously all these characters are flawed, but he hasn't gotten to the point where I feel like he's at that level to like make these right choices, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and if you haven't watched the movies yet, that's why the one we're going to talk about here in a bit, Knapsack Kid, I'd say that's the first one that kind of focuses on him probably more than anybody, right? Yeah, so we get a lot of that kind of explained on his mentality and stuff. But yeah, it's weird because he doesn't really. I do hear that complaint a lot, like throughout the entirety of the first season, right? There's times where it doesn't feel like he's prioritizing Mai in the way that he should, and that's definitely a character flaw. Like, even helping out his Kohai, he does so in a way that kind of puts Mai in like a tough situation, right? Like where I'm having to pretend to go out with this girl, etc. All these things are going to be tough on her, and she's a champ for powering through it. But at the same time, it's just him trying to. He doesn't care about himself enough, but if he sees somebody that needs help, there's that type of character that's going to try to make things better for them, even at their own
I feel like
even with sacrificing themselves,
I
right?
feel like it works though, because
Hmm.
I feel like the reason Mai fell in love with him to begin with is
Hmm.
that he is such a good person, a self-sacrificing person, putting other people first. I think that's one of the reasons Mai loves him. So it'd be
Yeah, no, that's
contradictory and hypocritical for her to like when he's going to help someone. Obviously, she has her little bits of
mhm,
jealousy. She has her little like emotional moments, but for the most part, she's okay with so many things. She has this trust in him because
mhm,
she knows he loves him, loves her, but
mhm,
also she knows that he is doing this because that's the type of person he is. He will pretend to be in a relationship with a girl to help her get over, not just like just oh to make her look good, whatever, to help her get
mhm,
over her own puberty syndrome that all of them have went through. His little sister has went through. I
mhm.
think that's part of the reason why she loves him.
Yeah, no, that's part of the contradiction that usually embodies a lot of stories like this, right? Whether it's Monogatari or Origairu or whatever, is like they're the type of person that's nice enough to want to help out people, and that's a charming feature in and of itself that usually causes that attraction. But also, they usually have to end up kind of learning to love themselves a little bit and cherish
Yeah,
themselves and balance that, right? Like it's all about balance.
I do
So,
think that's what the Dreaming Girl and also Knapsack Kid is about, right?
mhm. But I guess speaking about the sister movie real quick,
Sister
because
venturing
I don't know
out.
if we've yeah I don't know if we've talked about that one too much, or did you want to keep talking
No,
about
I'm down
Dreaming
to.
Girl for a
No,
bit?
I'm down to talk about sister venturing out.
Mhm.
Although I feel like this one's only an hour long, and we kind of talked about it
Yeah,
a little bit at the end of the series. It's really connected with the end of the anime.
yeah,
Um,
I think it is for the most part. It's kind of a boring movie, like a lot of setup as far as just her wanting to kind of go to school and whatnot, and having to kind of deal with the psychological trauma of having been bullied and those scars and whatnot, and trying to overcome that gradually, bit by bit, step by step. I would just say that this movie's a little bit different in that it focuses on the different Kaede, right?
mhm.
Where she's suddenly has that 2 year gap in memory, right? Like mentally, like her last stuff that she like remembers was she was like 13 and now she's 15 having to apply to high
Yeah,
school. She's 2 years behind, like having to try to make up for that gap. And then also just this, having that social anxiety that of not really being able to face certain social situations. So we could see all that tackled here in that second sister movie. So,
yeah.
and
Okay,
then
so one big thing about this movie. This is after she gets her memories back, as you mentioned, and our
mhm,
main character Sakuta has that mental breakdown. This is after that happens. Obviously, the
mhm,
dreaming girl stuff does happen before this, but it's after the ending of that. So it is the new Kaede, like you mentioned. And I think one big note here is at first she wants to go to the school that her big brother went to, but in the
mhm,
end, she was able to find like the self confidence and like to choose the path that she wants and that's best for
mhm.
her. That no one else is making this
Exactly.
decision for her, and that's something that I did enjoy. The actual character building. She still struggled to go out. She struggled to do all these things. She overcame these things. She studied so hard. She passed out in
Mhm,
school. Like it reminded me of the old Kaede, where like her like trauma was happening as she was trying to go to school, this and that. And in the end, she was able to choose the best thing for her and rebuild her confidence. I don't know. I really
yeah,
liked it it was an hour, right? Like it wasn't
yeah.
it
Howard
was three
Kim, something
episodes
like that.
essentially.
Yeah, yeah. I think the biggest thing for her and stuff was not only having to face the past and like deal with those 2 years that went missing and whatnot, but now she has those like internalized self doubts of she has this diary from a version of her that she doesn't remember, and her brother kind of ran out and broke down whenever that version disappeared. There's a part
Hmm.
of her that like wonders, did he love that version more?
Yeah.
Did like she's like almost trying to live through the dreams of that Kaede by trying to get into his school, and then it's only towards the end of the movie that like she realizes, there's no point in like trying to live out her dream, the other Kaede's dream. Like you got to do what's best for you and what you're actually wanting to do, right? So
Hmm.
she gets accepted into that school, and she chooses, not to go, right? Like she
Yeah.
chooses to follow her own path. So,
Yeah, she was able
uh,
to accomplish getting into the high school that they didn't think she was gonna be able to get into because she was
mhm,
not at school for 2 years indoors. Um, and then she chooses her own thing, which I really liked.
Yep.
And it does kind of connect into the next movie as well, where somehow something involving her, I feel like her bruises cause a shift in timeline, unless I'm completely misunderstanding it. And in this timeline, her brother rescued her from being bullied at all. It was like the ideal timeline where she was never bullied, where fucking like I feel like I can't remember the other things. There was just so many things that were just like perfect about this timeline, where like a lot of trauma and puberty syndrome just never occurred.
Talking about Knapsack Kid or whatever. It's
Knapsack
like
Kid, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like certain things still occurred in a relatively similar way, as far as like he still was dating Mai. Like he had to figure out like he still had those connections with Nodoka and the Kohai and Futaba, and so, like so certain things are the same. But yeah, everything related to his sister and how his family situation was handled went very, very differently in that alternate reality, right? Like he kind of explored those what ifs. And I guess moving a little bit back to the start of the movie, it's one of those things where he's never really quite faced that, right? And then he had to grow up really quick. He had to kind of be the man of the house that took care of not only himself, but his sister as well. And he had to do that for 2 years, and his parents weren't really in the picture. And then towards the start of the movie, the thing that changes that is his mom, who's been sick. You know, she had like a psychological breakdown at what the sister went through. She wasn't really around. She was having to try to get her stuff together, and she wants to see the sister right at the start of the movie, and they go to see the mom, and that kind of launches the whole
everything, right?
event of the movies into place. Yeah.
This new Kaede doesn't remember anything over those 2 years, and now her and her mom are able to like rekindle and get back to how things used to be. And it just, what type of emotions do you think Sakuta was feeling?
So the thing about him is, I think he was kind of had mixed emotions on it. He was a lot less blaming of the parents than I think I probably would have been in his shoes, because he did have to grow up quick, right? He did have to handle a lot of burdens that probably should not have been his to bear. Yeah, like he was the only thing that kind of that was like the rock of like his sister's life that kind of kept everything kind of remotely I don't know. The kid had to grow up way too fast, right? He's sitting there working to try to help get by. He's, like I said, taking care of both himself and her, and he's still in high school doing all this, right? And the parents that just kind of dipped out, you know, they feel guilt for that, as they probably should, right? But then there's also, from his perspective, he has that mindset of like almost blaming himself and looking at what he did wrong, and that he kind of disassociated a little bit. Like he knew he had to do all this stuff without them, so he did. And then like it was almost easier to pretend like they didn't exist, right? That his mom wasn't also through stuff, that he like he kind of just pushed that aside and put it like out of mind. And it's why it wasn't a very big focus at the series up to that point, because he just didn't really want to face it or deal with it or have that confrontation, right? Yeah, so even the first time he sees her and stuff, he doesn't really look her in the eye. He doesn't. It's been like 2 years, and he never went to visit her once, right? Like, or on what she was going through, or any of that. So,
I think it was almost easier for him to think that the parents weren't struggling and weren't trying, and kind of just like isolate himself and do his own thing. And then when he comes back to the reality of his mom was hospitalized because she couldn't handle what was going on, she was trying to like better herself, and like she was doing things, and I feel like this created a little bit of a disconnect. And then he went to that ideal life where everything was like perfect, and then when he came back to this reality, no one could see him. Was another thing. He was going through the invisible Mai treatment.
That's the sciencey thing, is that there's all these different dimensions, you know, Rick and Morty stuff, and it exists for him because he was able to go there, go back, but beyond all that, I think it all kind of boils down to him being way too hard on himself. You know, his hands were kind of full over the course of the series, not only trying to help other people, but like I said, the kid had to grow up way too fast. He was just kind of not really addressing the things that were going on in his life, but they were still happening, and he was still having to deal with it. And the fact that his mentality in that movie is, what could I have done better? What could I have, like, how could I have fixed this, right? Like that's kind of what I feel like was almost being addressed, was he was being hard on himself there, even at the start, and just I don't know. He was looking to blame less externally, and it's just all internal.
I
So
wish I feel like out of all the movies and all the episodes, I understood this movie the least because it was internal stuff with Sakuta, but I don't know if I got confused with the timelines because he went to the ideal timeline. I don't fully understand what he was struggling with in that moment once things started to return to normal. Like once
well,
Kaede got her memories back, I understand that. But once Kaede went to go reunite with her mother and things were getting back to normal in a way, what do you think he was struggling with there?
well, I think that there's some times where people find solace in like maybe relying on others, and the opposite inverse can also be true, right? Like he had to grow up quick. He had to be that rock for his sister, and then I think there's a part of him that like built his identity around being that rock of her life, right? Like that he had these things that relied on him. He felt like that was his place. Like it gave him purpose. A sense of purpose would be a good way to put it. And then his parents are back, and Kaede's living with his parents, and everything's kind of dandy again. It's like, what purpose does he have now, right? Where does he fit into the picture?
I also think
So
what they were going for, I think I just had like a little conniption with what you were explaining.
Yeah.
So he isolated himself, like you said, right? Or like he kind of just took care of his sister, did his own thing, and he didn't want to go back to. I feel like by going back to like what's currently happening, like reality, of like the mother and the father, and like dealing with his parents, it was like almost like running to that alternate reality that was like ideal was easier, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's easier
Avoiding
than
the
being mad at your parents or confronting the situation or healing what happened in the past and moving forward.
Yeah, and I guess just to add to that a little bit, I don't know, he's done such a weird over the course of the series. He's always been externally trying to help other people more than he helped himself, and not really addressing his own issues. So it's as soon as those other people, mainly his sister, like his sister's relied on him a lot, and he's been that bedrock. And then suddenly, whenever she doesn't have to rely on him anymore, I think there's a little bit there as well of just trying to find his own place in the world because he hasn't addressed it for a few years, right?
Yeah.
He's been so focused on helping other people that he hasn't really looked at like what he wants to do in the future, where he wants to, or where he fits into the whole thing, right? Like, do these other people need him? If not, what's the point, right? So he has to kind of find that own reason to move forward with Mai by the end. So
I think you're right. Like he was worried about everyone else. He's not worried about himself or his own emotional healing. Like you mentioned, like he would be, like we would be pissed at our parents if that happened with us, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like he wasn't, even though it's like okay for him to be mad. I feel like he wasn't dealing with his own like emotional healing in a way, and he wasn't even worried about his future, as you mentioned as well. But one thing that I love is that in every timeline, I feel like Mai was kind of his anchor, right? Like she remembered him every time, but like the same way he remembered her in those first 3 episodes. It's a nice little connection there, and then we move forward with him and her kind of like working on their futures, working on like what university they're going to go to, which was nice as well.
Yeah, it's their relationship's so sweet. And yeah, I guess it's almost like there's two things going on in parallel there, right? Because I guess what I said and what you said maybe don't go completely hand in hand, but I think they were both happening. Like he's dealing with all that about needing to be the anchor, and then also actually just escaping from like the reality of the situation by imagining if everything was perfect, right? And it cracked me up. Like the other version of himself, I guess, also swapped and he's like, "Get your shit together, man!
Yeah.
Like, what is going on over here?"
Oh yeah, no,
like, things are crazy, right?
You're absolutely right. I feel like he was the anchor for so many people, but now that he's going through something and he went to that ideal timeline and a bunch of things, I like the fact that Mai still was able to be.
There was somebody that he was able to kind of lean on as well, right? We all need somebody to lean on at times, right?
I think both can be true, Jordan.
Yeah, so it was a good movie. I like Knapsack Kid way better than I thought I would, because every arc does a good job of building up to the next, but like this one was just a long time coming, right? With him being the main character, us getting tidbits and snippets throughout the series up to this point, and then finally like it's just kind of addressing some of the stuff going on with him. Psychologically, emotionally, etc. Right? So, good movie, solid.
Yes. I think the sister venturing out movie was my least favorite, but it was still good. It was just Probably
How
my least
dare you?
favorite.
All right, Kaede is a gem. Okay, she's
I
so
love
sweet.
the last 3 episodes of the first season. With Kaede, the last 3 episodes of the
Yeah.
first season, great. Because that's the Kaede that we got to
Yeah.
meet for 12 episodes.
Yeah.
Versus, just like with Sakuta, this new Kaede
Mhm.
didn't feel like Kaede.
Yeah, I will say the sister movie was one I enjoyed the ending and conclusion of probably more than the journey of the movie itself, because it is kind of a
Hmm.
almost like not I don't want to say a nothing movie, but there is just a lot of montages, things are happening, but it's not really anything too
Yeah.
crazy, right? Like it's just her trying to prepare for school and try to improve herself and stuff. So it's not really like an exciting movie in the same way like dreaming of a dreaming girl would be, or Knapsack Kid. So
Man, there's too many
yeah,
different like timelines and stuff going on that it's hard for me to remember. Like we were talking about that
yeah,
last we were talking about that last movie, and I was saying a bunch
yeah.
of things that I remember having these like feelings of, but I feel like it wasn't like meshing. I literally just super quick read a synopsis of the third movie, and I'm like, oh my god, I remember it all now, and I was able to give like my actual opinions on like and like connect things properly. I couldn't remember the order of events. There's too many fucking future Shoko-chan and two different Kaedes, and he goes to like a perfect reality, and then there's this reality,
Yeah.
and then that reality. Nothing feels linear in any way, and nothing really is linear in this show because there's so many things that technically happened that never happened.
It never happened. Yeah, and that's why I feel like is one of my biggest critiques of the show, but I feel like I enjoy it more having fun with it, not overthinking that stuff and just looking at more of what it's supposed to represent, right?
Yeah.
Or like what they're trying to say. Because at the end of the day, this whole series is about symbolism with like or in metaphors as far as like their things they're going through or taking that physical manifestation, right?
Yeah.
Like those things that are happening are representative of the character's emotions. So
Yeah.
uh,
It's true. I like
Yeah,
the fact that
sure.
I think I appreciated it more this time because I didn't care about the science and I just tried to enjoy the characters
Yeah.
and what was happening for what was happening.
Yeah.
But it's not one of those series upon rewatch that it makes more sense because it doesn't. Like you
No,
rewatch
not at
Steins
all.
Gate and you realize every single thing that happened influences and has a butterfly effect and it's all laid out. Like you could like
Oh, yeah.
like everything connects so perfectly. Because when he works his
Time
way
travel-
backwards throughout time, it's like actually thought of. Versus this is not
Mm-hmm.
linear. It makes no sense, but it's still good in its own way because
Yeah.
it's supernatural. So you can just say whatever the fuck you want, and that's reality.
Time travel stuff is hard to do, and I feel like usually I'm a big critic of it. I don't really usually like it. And the only series I can really think of anime-wise that I love are Steins Gate and like Haruhi Suzumiya that tackles similar type stuff, right? I can't think of any others off the top of my head that do it well. This is one where it kind of tackles it in its own way, where it doesn't even try to make.
It doesn't even try.
So it's like, yeah, it doesn't try to tie it together. It just kind of explains it with some of those overbroad scientific theories, right? So you just gotta have fun with it.
I think they also try to explain it in a way where it's like, because future Kaede is like this, all those things won't have happened, but they still end up happening. Like relationships
Yeah.
still happen in a different way. Like Mai and Sakuta end up getting together regardless of some whatever, right?
So some things are just fated to be.
So I
you
feel
know?
like they made it make sense without having to have everything line up perfectly, just through like
Yeah.
a small supernatural explanation. It's like because this is the future version, blah 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 blah. There's your answer.
Yeah, I wouldn't say the series doesn't make sense. Like it makes sense. It's
It makes
written
sense.
very well, but it's yeah, it's one where it's like it's not worth giving yourself a headache trying to understand every scientific thing.
Yeah, like you can't like draw out you can't draw out the different timelines and see where it connects
Yeah.
and like things like
Exactly.
that perfectly because they give explanations for things and then that's just the way it is in this world
Yeah.
with these supernatural syndromes happening.
Speaking of how it connects, have you tried out the Santa Claus anime at all yet, or
I have
you gotten to
not.
that?
I was gonna suggest that for next week as my pick. 'Cause I think there's 3 episodes
okay with
out
that.
now. Or
I'm okay
about-
with that. We can just do 2 picks and give them the recon if you want.
All right. So Ricon's
But,
gonna continue watching Berserk. Where he's gonna
Yeah.
watch Bunny Girl Senpai 3 episodes, and then one more thing.
And I'm not gonna spoil the new season of Bunny Girl for you because I'm only 2 episodes in myself. But I will say the sister movie. I hope you paid attention to it because it does end up being important, right? Everything carries on into the next.
I
So-
have such a bad memory. I need to like give another like Dude, I rewatch shows, and I still need to read a synopsis before doing these podcasts because my brain's just all over the place. Jesus Christ.
We cover a lot of different media, right? So
Yeah.
like it's and you more so than me, right? It's understandable. That's why I said I could not have jumped into these movies without rewatching Bunny Girl Senpai the first season, and that's why I felt like we needed to maybe at least cover that first season a little bit, to like jostle people's memories a bit if they feel they need it.
To the people in chat that complain and say that I don't get through all the shows that I'm supposed to get through, you got to realize that I'm watching sometimes 3 different 3-episode shows for Rank FA. I'm watching a whole season of something for Anime Virgin usually, and I'm watching usually an arc of One Piece every 2 weeks for the anime for the One Piece Virgin, while reading the manga, while staying up to date with seasonals for the streams, while watching your picks. Like, dude, I'm watching 50 plus episodes of anime a week. My brain's everywhere, and there's no way I could get it all done all the time.
Oh, it's a lot. And then meanwhile, this man will be like, "Hey, can you watch Bunny Girl Senpai?" Like those movies, and I'll be like, "I need 2 weeks for that." Like, it's a lot. So it's
tough.
It's,
I'm very usually behind schedule. On top of that, like I'm a full-time content creator for like the most part, but I'm also like do side jobs just to keep being able to be a full content creator. So I'm doing like hockey training and tutoring and this and that. And summer, I'm touching ice and sand. You know.
That's what when people keep up with every seasonal show and stuff, I'm like, I don't know how you do it. I guess like you, I work full time and whatnot, and then afterwards, like I can watch a few shows, but all of them, that's a lot.
And then I get addicted to Apex again, and it's all over. The second I start playing Apex, like more than once a week, I fall behind on everything in my life.
I feel you there. I feel you. It's so easy to fall into that rabbit hole. I haven't touched Apex in a few months, and granted, I've been watching anime instead, so it's not like I've had more free time. But like trying to do both,
switch up. It's hard to do both. It really is hard to do both. So what do we want to do for our third anime choice?
So what I had in mind was a seasonal that you didn't get to try. That only going to have a few episodes, or it's only going to have like 6 episodes total. But it's been one of the most popular series coming out recently. It's very high quality. Yeah. So it's going to be 6 episodes. By the end of next week, it'll be finished. And it's called Takopi's Original Sin. So it's one I brought up. It's 6 episodes, very emotionally taxing at times. I've been trying to dodge spoilers like I have Observation Hot Twitter, but it's been a hot topic. So this is the one I want to make sure I actually finish before the end of the season. So.
Sick. Okay, I'm done. What's it called? Takopi's Original Sin?
Yeah, Takopi's Original Sin.
Okay, we're going to watch that. We're going to watch the new 3 episodes of Bunny Girl Senpai. And I don't know, maybe we don't do Berserk. I think I need to request something from my long list of anime that I need to watch so I can double dip. Maybe we double dip here a little bit.
Sounds good for me. You need to send me that list because I might have a few things I've been dying to recommend that overlap with it. But for now, Takopi, I just want to finish. I got to make the time.
I don't know which one to cover. What should we do? There's so many options. Should I start reading them and you choose, Jordan?
Yeah. So,
okay, we have Don Machi Season 5, which I don't know if you guys are caught up, so maybe we won't do that. 8 episodes of Shinsekai Yori. Buchigiri, Episode 1. Tsubasa Chronicle. Don't know what that is.
Ooh, I like Tsubasa Chronicle.
All right.
I never finished that one, but I saw at least the first couple episodes like way back when, like as a teenager. So
I say we do Tsubasa Chronicle.
Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles. Okay, sounds good to me. Those other ones I'm not familiar with. They sound familiar, but I'm awful with sometimes with these newer anime Japanese names. I'm just
sick. All right,
blend together.
Sounds good to me, my friend. On that note, we're over an hour 15 of the podcast. I think we call it there.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
we're good.
Sounds good to
Honestly,
me.
ideally, I would like to do them for an hour. They just often end up being 45 minutes. But
this
an
was
hour
a lot
is kind of perfect.
To cover, right?
We didn't even cover panty and stocking. I just realized.
It happens. It happens. We can if you want.
This is just the Bunny Girl Senpai episode. We could throw our opinion of panty and stocking into the next episode.
Sounds good.
If we need extra time. Good. We definitely don't need extra time here. We're at an hour 15.
Sounds good. Yeah. Hour 15 with only 2 people is impressive.
Yeah, we did a good job, man. We yapped it up. Anyway.
I probably yapped a little bit too much at times, but it was fun.
I love
everybody.
it. I hope that we made sense, guys. We were a little all over the place. Jordan was more concise with what he was saying. I feel like my brain was all over the place a little bit, as is Bunny Girl Senpai. I was dealing with my own puberty syndrome at 28.
Yeah.
God damn it.
It was fitting. I will say the thing about the newer season, he's in college, right? So it's like we're dealing with puberty syndrome. I think I haven't seen it again yet, but they grow up, right? The series is about growing up, and we're seeing that happen.
It's
So
kind of cool.
it's fun.
It's
I love
kind
it
of
when
cool
series do
having.
that.
It's always cool having a series grow up with you, in a way.
Yeah, 100%. I love it when series do that. It's one of my guilty pleasures. So.
Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to check out the Anime Dude. He does his watch parties on Twitch for the anime we cover every week. I do that as well over on Briggs ADA. Remember to drop a follow somewhere, anywhere, all the places. But I was gonna say, remember to leave a comment on Spotify. I like to see people's comments on Spotify to see that you guys are actually listening in and what your thoughts are and what you guys want us to cover next, stuff like that. Shinpaku, and I'll see you guys all next time.
Later.